show. What do we say, Sam? Shit, I forgot that
Yeah,
shit.
after show.
After show with Doc here. We're going to talk about socialism. We're going to talk about real socialism because apparently the American brands of socialism are anti reparations, obviously. So so we're going to talk with Doc about real socialism and his view, and let's run it down. I'll let Sam and Doc run it from here. All right, let's
Well,
go.
I'm just gonna start off by asking a question. I'm gonna let Doc and John go because this
All
will
right.
be good if I. But okay, so John, we always have this conversation because the socialists are always talking, or the so-called socialists, right?
Yeah.
These so-called
Quotes.
socialists,
Yeah. In quotes.
yeah,
Yeah.
in quotes. I got my quotes up. The
Mm-hmm.
so-called socialists are like, oh, we want everything to be better, but they still want to like own a company and still like be a boss.
Mm-hmm.
So
And erase
how does
history at the
that
same
work
time.
in socialism? Is that socialism or is that something else?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's democratic socialism. It's that's what they talk. It's democratic socialism. Like they just want a more equitable workplace. You know what I mean? Where workers get treated more fairly and got more of a say. But it's still a hierarchy. It's still a boss. You still gotta go work for your boss. You get paid decently, better than when you was getting paid before. You get treated better, but it's still a hierarchy, and somebody's at the top still controlling shit. Like so, it's not like you know what I mean. Like, and I think that our society is fucking it's crazy because it's like even socialism, as you talk about socialism, how the workers controlling the means of production. I mean, yeah, but like, what if a worker don't really know how to fucking, you know what I mean, grow the like? I don't like the thing about it when it comes to like the particular socialism that lefties talk about here in America is more based off of just workers being treated more fairly and people, you know what I mean? Which I feel like it's more reasonable. To be honest with you, like if anything, I would be considered if you really broke me without if I wasn't advocating for reparations. If we had reparations, then I probably would be something similar to a democratic socialist. But I don't consider myself a socialist or a democratic socialist because we ain't got no fucking wealthy at the bottom. So I consider myself, feel me, I'm part of the black wing. I ain't part of the left wing or the right wing. Whatever wing is going to get us our justice, that's the wing I'm a part of, like, period. But like the
Okay.
socialists, like a huge amount of the socialist movement in this country is not, they don't want to give up what they have. They don't feel me like even they
Yep.
don't understand even the white working man's plight and everything. Like they don't understand that how much more they have than the Negro, the average Negro. Like they don't put that into perspective. It's like, all right, so well, just give everybody like this and that. Or you like, let's start over. Let's start the whole system over, but not repay it. So it's like, all right, black person, that debt that you accumulated from years of trauma and pain and generational pain and getting locked out, that debt is white. For me, that's but how I benefited over is white zero. So everybody is zero now. So if like, so I don't have to pay back, or I don't have to whatever I benefited from somebody else's oppressions, whether it be for me overtly or subvertly, I don't have to pay that back. Let's start over and give everybody the same thing. So that's why, you feel me, in this context, I think a lot of the socialists is bullshit. And I think that a lot of socialists don't even stand up to that principle, to be honest with you. They don't even stand up to that principle. But I think that when you talk to black people, is a way to kind of just get rid of that debt and kind of like absolve responsibility. Let's start new. Let's start clean without capitalism. Because you wouldn't have been here without capitalism, blah, blah, blah. But I was here because of capitalism. How can you repay me and make my people whole? You know what I mean? Start a new
Mm-hmm.
system? What the fuck is that? Really?
Yep.
Like, so you gonna let what? All right, so
Yeah. Let's
that's
erase
just my
history,
feelings.
start from scratch, and forget everything that's happened to us,
That's how I feel
and
about
then move forward.
socialism.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
that's
like,
what I think.
I don't care.
Yeah.
If you're like unfair to capitalism, but socialism,
Yeah,
I want my
that's one
people
of
to
the
be
things.
whole. I want us to hold
Yeah.
power
Yeah,
and have
real quick,
autonomy.
Doc, before you dip into this, I want to say that's one of the things they pinged us with when we started talking about reparations a few years back. They were like, "You just want to you want to participate in capitalism. That's all you want. You want black capitalism." That's the bullshit we heard. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Doc. Hand your business.
Well, Fred Hampton said it wasn't black capitalism, it's socialism. He said there's a difference. And to what John was talking about, I have a different idea about socialism than what Americans think about socialism. I think that socialism is a system, a socioeconomic system that's devised for the benefit of the society, where capitalism is a system that's devised for the benefit of capital. And I say that, in order to be a socialist in this country, you gotta be opposed to capitalism, because capitalism only benefits a certain group of people, whereas socialism benefits the society. Now, if you take that perspective on socialism versus what Americans talk about when they talk about socialism, even what actual socialists talk about, who are talking about, we need to abolish capitalism and give the workers control and everything like that. When you devise a system that is for the benefit of society, that necessarily includes something like reparations. That has to include some reparations, because if you consider the fact that, Black people represent 13% of our society, and if we leave them out of the equation, then we're not doing for the whole society. So in order to speak to John here, you actually have to pay those reparations as part of that. And then we talk about how the whole society, Blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians, whatever, how we all move together, how we all move forward together. But we can't have those discussions until we, like I say, pay the dues that we're owed, that we owe to the people that we owe them to, and get everybody straight, everybody square. And at that point, then we can talk about, whether or not we need to nationalize the labor force. I think we need to nationalize the labor force. We need to make it so that, my ability to live, my ability to eat, my ability to raise my kids up right isn't dependent on some capitalist, need to make profit. But we can't even get to that point until we do the prior work first and actually get all these debts that we owe settled. And so I agree a lot with John. The socialists in this country don't want to talk about that. And I think it's because they're tied to Karl Marx. And Karl Marx will say some kind of nonsense like any kind of racial discussion we have in the country is just a tool of capitalism, or any kind of moral or ethical discussion we have in the country is just capitalism dividing people. But we can't do that. I don't see it like that. I see socialism as a system that benefits and works for the benefit and the interest of all the people in society. And like I said, we can't do that without even something like reparations.
Oh, you mentioned Marx. Let's let Mud handle that one. Mud, what you got, baby?
Cousin Mud, where you at, bud?
Mud ain't listening.
I mean, he's right. Like, Marx essentially was a white supremacist, and a lot of people that that go that route tend to have some of those tendencies also, as far as like not seeing the race issue as something that needs to be even addressed. Like, a lot of them want to skip out on that type of discussion and reduce everything to a class discussion. And I mean, I don't know, it boggles my mind, because even if that's the way you felt, I would think at this point in time, seeing how that has not led to any political success, I would think you would be changing your position to try to, persuade other people to, fall in line. And like, the only way you're going to actually get, Black people on your side is if you tackle those type of issues. And essentially, if you go back and you look at the communists early, like when they did the pivot and started supporting the protests for the Scottsboro boys, that's like, it's the thing that kind of pushed the communists into something that was kind of viable for a moment, from my perspective. But who am I,
You bit it, don't see you, Mud. What you talking about? And if you haven't seen, Mud just did an episode on Queen Mother Moore and how her involvement in the Communist Party in the 30s, but what a quote unquote American labor movement was coming to, coming to like the most, like kind of the power, like they were ascending the power. And she was a Black woman in Harlem trying to be a part of this communist movement, this labor movement, but yet it was still segregation. It still was a white hierarchy within the communist movement. Like real talk, she was, this documentary is fucking crazy. Mud is a fucking genius. Like, he put it together. He was talking, for real. The niggas are these genius. Anyway, but he put it together, and he kind of was just she was telling her story about like how we had the Negro meeting, but it was branches of the Communist Party that had the Polish Communist Party, the Italian Communist Party, the Irish Communist Party. But the Negro Communist Party always, you feel me? Like, and they operated autonomously with just those ethnic groups, but the Negro Party had to have somebody white around them. You feel me? Like, it's not like they came to the table and they had to have somebody, and they was always talking about, just remember though, it's about white and Black solidarity. Nobody said this to the Italians. It's about Anglo-Saxon, and you know what I mean? So it's just so much layers to this shit. It's so much layers to the left movement and the communist movement when they're dealing with Black people. And it just shows that everywhere we go, we don't have nobody. Like, what? Like, what we supposed to do? What we supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, look, you go to the left, they shit on us. Go to the right. The right really gonna shit us using that tool. Democrats, progressive social. What? So now it was like, fuck it. We about to act out of our own interest, period. You know what I mean? And try to grab some power out this bitch. And then maybe we can, you feel me? Maybe we can start, when we grab power, maybe we can really talk to these people at an equal, somewhat equal level. You know what I mean? Instead of people, they know our desperation, they know that we can be exploited. Even the left knows that. They know that we the most exploited people in the country. And they know they can still exploit us. You know what I mean? And use our issues to push
that path. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah, and